Welcome, dear listener. Welcome to this gentle space where stories unfold like petals in moonlight. Tonight we're going to drift together through a chapter of Earth's history that feels almost like a dream itself, a time of transformation, of silence, of rebirth, a time when our planet held its breath and began again. As you settle into wherever you are right now, let your body sink a little deeper into comfort. Feel the weight of your head against the pillow. Notice how your shoulders can soften just a little more. There's nothing you need to do tonight except rest. You don't need to follow every word. You don't need to remember anything at all. Simply let this story carry you the way a river carries a fallen leaf, gently, without effort, toward the ocean of sleep. Tonight we'll explore what Earth was like after the asteroid impact. Not the moment of collision itself, but the quiet aftermath, the days and weeks and months and years that followed, the slow rebuilding of a world. But we'll explore it together the way you might watch clouds drift across a summer sky, softly, without urgency, letting the images wash over you like warm water. Imagine, if you will, the night sky above you, stars scattered like seeds across dark soil. And somewhere among those stars, stories are written in light that left its source millions of years ago. Tonight's story is written in stone, in layers of earth, in the fossils that sleep beneath our feet. And as we unfold it together, you can let yourself drift deeper and deeper into rest. Before we begin our gentle journey, if this story brings you peace, if these quiet words help you find rest, consider sharing this calm with others. Like and subscribe to this channel, and perhaps leave a comment below telling us which country you're listening from and what time it is where you are. It's a beautiful thing to know that all around the world people are drifting into sleep together, connected by story, by rest, by the shared night. But there's no pressure, only an invitation. And now, let us begin. Imagine standing on a shore that doesn't exist anymore. A shore from 66 million years ago, just after the world changed. The sun is trying to rise, but the sky doesn't quite know how to hold light anymore. Everything is soft, muted, as if the world itself is whispering. The air tastes different now. It carries dust, fine as thought, suspended in every breath. This dust came from the impact, from the moment a mountain from space kissed the Earth with unimaginable force. But that moment has passed. What we're witnessing now is the aftermath, the quiet that follows thunder, the stillness that comes after a storm. Let your breathing slow as we stand here together on this ancient shore. In and out, like the waves that still move against this coastline, despite everything. The ocean doesn't know how to stop being ocean. The waves don't know how to stop reaching for the sand, and your breath doesn't need to do anything except continue softly in its own rhythm. The sky above us is layered. Imagine it like a painting where someone used grays and browns and deep oranges, blending them together until you can't quite tell where one color ends and another begins. There are particles up there, microscopic pieces of earth and rock, thrown so high they're circling the planet now. They catch what little sunlight filters through and scatter it into something that looks almost beautiful in a melancholy way. This is the Cretaceous-Paleogene boundary. Scientists call it the KPG boundary, but that name feels too sharp for this moment, too clinical for what we're experiencing. This is a threshold, a doorway between one age and another, and we're standing right in it, feeling the temperature drop as night falls, watching the strange sky deepen into darkness. The temperature has changed. In the weeks after the impact, the world became confused about seasons. The dust and aerosols in the atmosphere are blocking sunlight. Not all of it, but enough. Enough that plants are struggling. Enough that the warmth we expect from summer isn't quite reaching the ground. It's like the planet has drawn a curtain between itself and the sun, creating a twilight world. But there's something peaceful in this twilight, isn't there? The harsh brightness has softened. The world feels quieter, less frantic, as if everything is moving in slow motion, conserving energy, waiting. As you listen, you might notice your own body temperature, how comfortable you are right now, how your blankets hold warmth around you like the atmosphere holds the earth. You're safe, you're comfortable, and this story is just a story, a gentle companion for your journey into sleep. On this shore, small things are stirring. Creatures you wouldn't recognize. Some of them are mammals, but so different from the mammals you know. Tiny, most of them, furry, with eyes that shine in the dim light. They're cautious, emerging from burrows and hollow logs. The world they knew has changed, but they're still here. Life is still here. Smaller, quieter, but persistent as a heartbeat. There are birds too. Not the birds that will come later, not the songbirds of future mornings, but their ancestors. They survived. When the great creatures fell, when the dinosaurs that ruled the land and sea breathed their last, these small feathered beings endured. They nested in places the heat and fire couldn't reach. They ate seeds and insects and whatever they could find, and now they moved through the grey dawn, their calls echoing across a changed landscape. Listen to those calls in your imagination, soft, distant, like memories of sound rather than sound itself. They're singing the world back into being, one note at a time. The ocean beside us is darker than it should be. Particles have settled on the surface, and beneath that surface, changes are rippling through the water. The food chains have been disrupted. The tiny organisms that float in sunlit water, the phytoplankton that form the base of ocean life, they're struggling with the reduced light. But the ocean is vast, deep, and in its depths, things continue. Life adapts. Life always adapts, given time. That's what we have now, all the time in the world. Or at least, all the time until morning. And even morning is far away, isn't it? Hours and hours of darkness, of rest, of drifting through this story like drifting through a dream. The landscape beyond the shore stretches into shadow. Forests stand, but they're different now. Many trees have lost their leaves. Some have died. Fire swept through parts of the world in the first days after impact, and the scars remain. But trees are ancient survivors too. Their roots go deep. Their seeds wait patiently in soil. And even now, in this twilight time, some are beginning the slow work of recovery. Imagine walking inland, your feet soft on ash-covered ground. Each step is quiet. The world feels muffled, wrapped in a blanket of silence. You pass the skeleton of a large creature, bones white against dark earth. A dinosaur, perhaps, or one of the many other species that didn't make it through the initial catastrophe, but you don't feel fear or sadness, only a gentle acknowledgement. This is the way of all things. Endings make space for beginnings. As you walk, you notice mushrooms. They're everywhere, pushing up through the ash and decay. Fungi don't need sunlight the way plants do. They feast on death and turn it into life. They're the quiet workers of transformation, breaking down what was into nutrients for what will be. In this moment, in this changed world, they're thriving, spreading, creating networks beneath the soil that connect the survivors, that share resources, that whisper chemical messages through the earth. The kingdom of fungi is having its moment. And there's something comforting in that, isn't there? Even in the hardest times, something flourishes, something finds a way. Your breathing is slower now. You might barely notice the transition, but your body knows how to ease into rest. With each breath, you're sinking deeper into comfort. The story continues around you like a river around a stone, but you don't need to hold on to every word. You can simply be here, present but peaceful, aware but drifting. The first stars are appearing overhead, visible through gaps in the dust-laden clouds. They're the same stars that shone before the impact. The same patterns. Constellations that won't have names for millions of years yet, but they're there, constant, indifferent to what happens on this small, blue world below them. And in their light, the Earth rests, recovers, breathes, just as you're resting now, just as you're recovering from whatever this day held, just as you're breathing softly, in rhythm with the story, in rhythm with the ancient night. Let's drift a little deeper now into understanding what's happening in this strange twilight world. Not with sharp facts that jolt you awake, but with gentle knowing, the kind that settles soft as falling snow. The dust in the atmosphere isn't just dust, it's a story suspended in the air. Each particle carries within it the tale of impact, of vaporized rock, of earth thrown skyward with such force that it left the ground behind entirely, soaring into space before falling back down, grain by grain, like the slowest rain ever known. Scientists in our time have studied the layers of Earth where this dust settled. They've found iridium, an element rare on Earth's surface, but common in asteroids. It's like a signature, a calling card left behind. The asteroid that struck was perhaps 10 kilometers wide. Imagine that. A mountain of stone and metal, traveling faster than anything you've ever seen, faster than sound, faster than thought, colliding with the Yucatan Peninsula in what is now Mexico. But we're not in that moment, we're in the gentle after. We're in the time when the dust from that collision has spread across the entire planet, dimming the sun, changing everything. Think of it like this. Imagine someone drew the curtains in a bright room. The light is still there, but it's softer now, gentler. That's what's happening to Earth. The sun still rises, still sets, but its light has to travel through a veil. And in that veiling, temperatures drop. Not everywhere at once, not in a dramatic freeze, but gradually, degree by degree, the world cools. Your own body knows about temperature regulation. Right now, you're probably at the perfect comfort level. Not too warm, not too cold. Your body made countless tiny adjustments to keep you there, and you didn't even have to think about it. Earth, too, has systems for regulating temperature. Ocean currents, atmospheric circulation, the greenhouse gases that trap heat. But those systems have been disrupted. The planet is trying to find its balance again, and it will, given time. But for now, in these early days and weeks, there's confusion, there's adjustment. Plants, beautiful green, growing things they need. Sunlight for photosynthesis, they need it the way you need air. And with the sun dimmed, with light reduced by perhaps 60 or 70% in some places, they're struggling. Not all plants. Some are more resilient than others, but the ones that dominated before, the huge forests of ferns and cycads and conifers, many of them are dying back. And when plants die, everything that depends on them follows. The large herbivores, the plant eaters, they begin to starve. And the carnivores that hunted those herbivores, they too face scarcity. It's like a wave moving through the ecosystem, a wave of absence, of hunger, of ending. But remember, we're not dwelling on the tragic. We're observing gently from a place of peace. This is natural history. This is the Earth's story, and it includes death and life in equal measure, woven together like threads in a tapestry. The small mammals we met earlier, the ones emerging from burrows, they're managing better than the giants. They don't need as much food. They can survive on seeds, on insects, on scraps. They can wait out the difficult times in their underground homes, where temperature stays more constant, where small stores of food can sustain them. There's a lesson there, whispered soft in the twilight. Sometimes survival belongs not to the largest or the strongest, but to the adaptable, to those who can make do with less, to those who can wait. As you lie there, you're a bit like those early mammals, aren't you? Burrowed into comfort, safe and warm. conserving energy, waiting for morning, but in no hurry for it to arrive. Your body knows how to rest. Your mind knows how to let go. And this story is just a companion for that letting go, a soft voice in the darkness saying, "It's okay to drift, it's okay to sleep, the world will still be here when you wake." The oceans are struggling too, but in their own way. The surface waters where light penetrates and tiny plants called phytoplankton grow, those waters are darkened now. The phytoplankton die off in huge numbers, and that triggers a cascade. The tiny animals that eat phytoplankton have nothing to eat. The small fish that eat those tiny animals starve. The larger fish, the marine reptiles, the ammonites with their beautiful spiral shells, they all face the same tightening of resources. Some estimates suggest that more than 75% of species on Earth went extinct in the aftermath of the impact. 75%. That's a staggering number. But let it wash over you gently. Let it be a fact that floats past like a cloud, observed but not held. Because alongside that 75% that ended, there's a 25% that persisted, that endured, that carried life forward into the future. Into our time, eventually. Into this very moment where you're breathing softly, eyes closed or closing, part of an unbroken chain of survival that stretches back across unfathomable time. The dust will settle, not today, not tomorrow, but gradually. Over months and years, gravity will pull it down. Rain will wash it from the sky. The particles will come to rest on the ground, on the ocean floor, creating a layer in the geological record that scientists millions of years later will study with wonder and careful attention. That layer, that boundary line between Cretaceous and Paleogene, it's like a page turning in Earth's book, or perhaps like the pause between one breath and the next, the exhale of one age, the inhale of another. And in that pause, in that space between, there's a kind of meditation, a planetary meditation on change, on resilience, on the nature of existence itself. You might find your own breathing has synchronized with the story, with the slow rhythm of words. That's natural, that's good. Your body is wise. It knows how to use rhythm to deepen rest, to spiral down into sleep. Trust it, trust the process. There's nowhere you need to be except exactly where you are. In the twilight world, the wind still blows. It carries ash and dust, yes, but also seeds. Seeds from the plants that are dying scatter on that wind, landing in new places, waiting for better times. Some will wait years, even decades. Seeds can be patient in ways we barely comprehend. They can lie dormant in the soil, biding their time until conditions align for germination. That patience is in you too, the ability to wait, to rest, to not force anything. Tonight, you don't have to solve any problems, you don't have to plan tomorrow. You can be like a seed in the soil, quiet and still, gathering energy for when it's needed. The small mammals, our distant ancestors, are learning to move at dawn and dusk, in the crepuscular hours when the dim light is enough but not too much. They're learning to be cautious, to be quiet, to pay attention. And in that paying attention, in that necessity of awareness, something new is emerging. Intelligence, problem solving, the seeds of what will eventually become consciousness as we know it. But that's far in the future. Right now, they're just trying to survive, just trying to find the next meal, the next safe place to sleep. Just like you've found your safe place right now, your comfortable spot, where the world can't make demands of you, where you can simply be. Time moves differently when you're half asleep. A minute can feel like an hour, or an hour like a minute. And in our story tonight, we're moving through time, like a river moves through landscape. Sometimes fast, sometimes slow, always flowing forward toward the sea. Weeks have passed now since the impact, perhaps months. It's hard to say exactly, the sky is still veiled, but less so. Here and there, on clear days, you can see blue again. True blue, not the grey-brown haze that's dominated since the collision. And with that blue comes hope, in whatever form hope takes for a planet recovering from catastrophe. The first new green shoots are appearing, not everywhere, not in great abundance, but they're there. Ferns, mostly. Ferns are remarkable survivors. They reproduce through spores, millions upon millions of spores that drift on wind and water, so light they're almost not there. And when one of those spores lands in a suitable spot, in soil with enough moisture and the right chemistry, it begins to grow. Imagine those first new ferns uncurling in the ash-covered earth. Their fronds unfold like gentle hands opening. Slowly, so slowly. Each day a little more green in a grey world. Each day a tiny victory of life over emptiness. And where the ferns grow, other things follow. Insects find them. Herbivores, the ones that survived, discover these new sources of food. The ecosystem begins to stir again, like someone waking from a very deep sleep, stretching, yawning, remembering what it means to be alive. You know that feeling, don't you? The moment when you're almost asleep but not quite, when you're aware of your body relaxing but still aware of the room around you, of sounds, of sensations, that liminal space between waking and sleeping. That's where we are in the story. Earth is in the liminal space between one age and another, not fully in the catastrophe anymore, but not yet in the new world either. The rivers still flow, that's important. Water doesn't stop for anything. Gravity pulls it downhill, always, always downhill from mountain to sea. And in that flowing, the rivers carry the ash and dust away from some places and deposit it in others. They're washing the world clean, slowly, patiently, the way rain washes a window. Along the riverbanks, life clusters more densely now. The mammals come to drink. The birds wade in shallow water, looking for insects or small fish. The plants here get more moisture, so they recover faster. Rivers become corridors of green through a landscape that's still mostly brown and grey. Arteries carrying life through the body of the earth. There's a mammal at the water's edge now. Imagine seeing it in the dim light of dawn. It's small, perhaps the size of a modern rat, with a long snout and tiny eyes. Its fur is scruffy, covered in ash dust that it hasn't bothered to clean away. It drinks cautiously, always alert, always ready to flee. In its world, danger is everywhere, but so is opportunity. This little creature might be an ancestor of many different modern mammals. Inside it, in its genetics, in the way its body is put together, there are possibilities. Its descendants will diversify. Some will grow larger, some will take to the trees, some will return to the water, some will eventually walk upright and look up at the stars and wonder. But right now, it's just drinking from a river, just surviving another day, and that's enough. That's everything. Your breathing continues, steady and soft, in and out, like the river flowing, like time passing. You don't have to think about breathing. It happens on its own, the way your heart beats, the way your cells repair themselves while you sleep. Your body is taking care of you. It knows what to do. The ocean, that vast body of water covering most of the planet, is also recovering in its own way. The surface waters are still depleted, still struggling, but in the depths, where sunlight never reaches anyway, life continues largely unchanged. There are creatures down there in the darkness that survive the impact without even noticing it. Creatures that feed on chemicals from volcanic vents, not on sunlight. They're outside the normal food chains, independent, resilient in ways that are hard to imagine. And their existence is a reminder that life finds many different ways to be. Not just one path, but countless paths, each adapted to its own particular corner of existence. In the darkness of the deep ocean, in the soil beneath our feet, in the air above our heads, life is everywhere, taking every conceivable form, filling every available niche. just as sleep takes many forms. Sometimes you dream vividly, sometimes you sink into darkness so deep there's no memory of it at all. Sometimes you hover in light sleep, aware of the world but separated from it. All of these are rest, all of these are good. There's no wrong way to sleep, just as there's no wrong way to listen to this story. However you're experiencing it right now is exactly right. Months turn into years, the dust continues to settle, more rain falls, the climate, confused and disrupted, begins to stabilize. The planet's self-regulating systems, the ones that maintain balance, they're reasserting themselves. The greenhouse gases in the atmosphere, mainly carbon dioxide and water vapor, they trap heat again. The temperature begins to rise back toward more typical levels. But it won't rise back to exactly what it was before. Because the world has changed. The forests that dominated before are different now. The creatures that ruled are gone. The stage has been cleared for new actors, new relationships, new ecosystems. The small mammals are slowly, very slowly, beginning to diversify, not in dramatic ways, not overnight, but generation by generation, those that are slightly better adapted to the new conditions have more offspring, and those offspring inherit those adaptations. And over time, measured in thousands and tens of thousands of years, new species emerge. This is evolution, not a conscious process, not a directed one, just the natural consequence of reproduction, variation, and selection. It's happening constantly, everywhere, even now, even in you, but so slowly that within a single lifetime it's invisible. Time is like that. The moments we notice are brief and sharp. But the real changes happen in the spaces between moments, accumulating so gradually that we only see them when we look back across vast stretches. Like right now. You might not notice the exact instant when you fall asleep. You might not remember the transition. But tomorrow morning, you'll wake up and time will have passed and you'll have rested. And that rest will have changed you in small ways, restored you, prepared you for a new day. The stars wheel overhead in the story's sky. The same stars, following the same paths they've followed for longer than the Earth has existed. Constellations that witnessed the formation of the planet. Constellations that will witness its end billions of years from now. They're indifferent to what happens here, but they're also witnesses, silent observers of all that unfolds below. And maybe that's what we are too right now. Observers, witnesses to this ancient story. Not judging it, not trying to change it, just letting it unfold in our minds the way it unfolded in reality, all those millions of years ago. The wind blows across the recovering landscape. It carries new sounds now, more bird calls, the rustling of new growth, the movement of animals through underbrush. The world is becoming more alive again, more itself. The silence after the impact is breaking up, note by note, into a new symphony. And in that symphony, every creature has a part. Every plant, every fungus, every microbe, they're all playing their notes, creating together something larger than any individual could create alone. An ecosystem, a community, a living, breathing, changing whole. Your community tonight is the darkness, the quiet, the soft words of this story, and the promise of rest. That's enough. That's a good community. One that asks nothing of you except that you be present, and even that is optional. You can drift away anytime. The story will continue without you, and that's okay. That's more than okay. Beneath the visible recovery, beneath the new ferns and the cautious mammals and the returning birds, something else is happening. Something invisible but profound. The chemistry of the world is shifting. The impact itself released vast amounts of sulfur into the atmosphere. The asteroid struck a location rich in gypsum, a sulfur-bearing rock. When that rock vaporized, it created sulfur dioxide, which combined with water vapor to form sulfuric acid. This acid fell as rain. acidifying lakes and streams, altering soil chemistry, creating challenges for life, but also, eventually, new opportunities. Acid rain sounds harsh. And it was in its way, but nature doesn't judge. Nature simply responds. The organisms that couldn't tolerate the changed chemistry died back. The ones that could, or that could adapt quickly enough, persisted. And in some cases, thrived. There are bacteria that love acid. They flourish in conditions that would dissolve most other life forms. In the acidified waters of the post-impact world, these bacteria had their moment. They multiplied, they spread, they broke down the minerals in rocks and made nutrients available that had been locked away. In their own strange way, they were helping to heal the planet. Healing takes time. Sometimes healing takes forms we don't recognize as healing. Sometimes it looks like breaking down, like decay, like endings. But all of that is part of the cycle. Death feeds life. Endings make space for beginnings. The universe wastes nothing. Your body knows about this. Every day, cells in your body die, millions of them, and new cells are born to replace them. You're constantly being renewed, constantly being rebuilt. The you of 7 years ago is not the you of today, not on a cellular level. You've been replaced, piece by piece, while somehow remaining yourself. Identity is a strange thing. Persistence through change. That's what Earth is demonstrating in this recovery period. It's still Earth, still a living planet. But the form that life takes on it is changing, has changed, will continue to change. The ocean chemistry is shifting too. The acid rain affected the surface waters. The die-off of so much plankton altered the balance of nutrients. For a time, the oceans might have been less salty, diluted by all that rain, but slowly, steadily, the balance is being restored. In the depths, in the sediments at the ocean floor, tiny shells are accumulating. The shells of foraminifera, single-celled organisms that float in the water and build intricate homes from calcium carbonate. Many species of foraminifera went extinct in the catastrophe, but others survived, and now they're reproducing, dying, sinking, adding their shells to the eternal rain of material that drifts down through ocean water. These shells will become limestone eventually. They'll become the rock of future ages, and embedded in that rock will be a record of this time, readable by anyone who knows how to look. The story we're telling tonight is written in stone, in layers of sediment, in the arrangement of atoms in ancient minerals. Everything leaves a trace, every moment, every breath, every life. Nothing is truly lost. It all becomes part of the record, part of the great unfolding story of existence. You might be leaving traces too, even now. The impression of your body in the mattress, the warmth you're radiating into the air, the carbon dioxide in each exhaled breath, joining the atmosphere, becoming part of the planet's systems. You're part of Earth's story, just as those ancient mammals were, just as those ferns pushing up through ash were. Years are passing now in our story, perhaps a decade since the impact, perhaps two. It's hard to mark time when there are no records, no written calendars, only the slow accumulation of change. The mammals are getting more diverse. There are different sizes now, different shapes. Some are better at climbing, some are better at digging, some are beginning to eat different things. One might specialize in insects, developing a longer tongue to pull them from crevices. Another might focus on seeds, developing stronger jaws to crack them open. This is radiation. Adaptive radiation, scientists call it. When a catastrophe clears away the dominant species, it creates ecological space. Empty niches waiting to be filled, and the survivors diversify to fill them, each finding their own unique way to make a living in the changed world. There's something beautiful in that, don't you think? Something hopeful. Even in disaster, even in endings, there's the seed of new beginnings. The closing of one door opens others. Not immediately, not without struggle, but eventually. Given time, given the patient unfolding of generations, life finds a way. Your own life has probably had its catastrophes, its moments when everything changed, and you're here now, on the other side of them, still yourself, but different. Adapted. Resilient in ways you might not have been before. Carrying forward what was important, letting go of what couldn't survive the change. That's wisdom, written not in words, but in the way you've survived, the way you've adapted, the way you're still here, breathing softly, resting, allowing yourself this moment of peace. In the forest, the trees that survived are producing seeds again. The conifers drop their cones. The cycads release their pollen. The ginkgos, those ancient trees that have survived so many previous catastrophes, they're growing new leaves, bright green and fan-shaped, filtering the improving light. Underneath the trees, the soil is coming back to life. The fungi are everywhere, their mycelia spreading like neural networks through the earth, connecting trees, sharing resources, communicating in ways we're only beginning to understand even in our modern time. The soil itself is being rebuilt. The ash has mixed with decaying organic matter. Worms and beetles and countless other invertebrates are burrowing through it, mixing it, aerating it, making it rich again. Soil is alive. It's not just dirt. It's a community as complex and diverse as any tropical forest, just smaller, mostly invisible to our eyes. But we can imagine it, can't we? We can picture those tiny creatures doing their work in darkness, breaking down, building up, cycling nutrients, making life possible for everything above them. Unseen but essential. Like the processes in your own body that continue even as you sleep. Your digestive system, your immune system, your brain consolidating memories, all working quietly, efficiently, requiring no conscious attention. That's the gift of unconsciousness, not absence, but a different kind of presence, a letting go of control that allows deeper systems to do their work. Sleep is not emptiness. It's fullness of a different kind. The planet turns, day follows night follows day. The moon pulls the tides in and out, a rhythm older than life itself. The seasons change, though not as distinctly as they did before, not yet, but still the planet tilts and orbits, and the angle of sunlight shifts. These rhythms are eternal, or as close to eternal as anything can be. They existed before the impact, they continued during the catastrophe. They persist now in the recovery. They'll outlast everything that lives. There's comfort in that. Comfort in knowing that underneath all the change, underneath the chaos and adaptation and extinction and emergence, there are patterns, stable patterns, the mathematics of orbits, the physics of rotation, the certainty of gravity. Your body has rhythms too, your circadian rhythm, the internal clock that tells you when to wake and when to sleep. Your heart rhythm, steady and strong. The rhythm of your breathing. Even now you might notice how your breath has slowed since we began, how it's deeper now, more regular. Your body settling into its nighttime patterns, preparing for rest at the cellular level. In the recovering world, the animals are learning to follow these rhythms again. The ones that went underground during the worst of the catastrophe, they're emerging more regularly now. They're establishing territories. They're finding mates. They're having offspring that will grow up in a world they've never known, a world that's already better than the one their parents survived. The birds especially are following rhythms. They migrate with the seasons, even though those seasons are still uncertain. Something in them, some instinct deeper than thought, tells them when to fly north, when to fly south. They follow magnetic fields. They follow star patterns. They follow cues we don't fully understand even now, millions of years later, with all our science and technology. Instinct is like that. Deeper than knowledge, older than consciousness. Your body has instincts too, the instinct to breathe, to sleep, to wake, to heal. You don't have to teach your body these things. They're written into you at a level more fundamental than learning. Trust those instincts tonight. Trust your body's wisdom about what it needs. If you need to shift position, shift. If you need to let go completely into sleep, let go. There's no wrong way to experience this story. It's here as a companion, not a demand. A gentle presence in the darkness, asking nothing, offering rest. The ocean has its rhythms too. The tides, yes, but also deeper currents. Thermohaline circulation, the global conveyor belt of water that moves heat around the planet. Warm water from the equator flowing toward the poles. Cold water from the poles sinking and flowing back toward the equator. This circulation was disrupted by the catastrophe, by the changed temperatures and altered salinity, but it's reasserting itself now. And as it does, it's redistributing nutrients, it's bringing cold, nutrient-rich water up from the depths. It's creating conditions for plankton to recover in some areas. Life in the ocean is flickering back, not everywhere at once, but in patches, in regions, spreading slowly like light returning after a long darkness. The tides themselves never stopped. Even in the worst moments, even when the sky was black and the land was burning, the moon still pulled the ocean, and the ocean still rose and fell. That must have been strange to witness, if there had been anyone to witness it. The world ending and the tides indifferent, eternal, continuing their ancient dance. There's a metaphor there. Something about how the deepest truths continue regardless of surface chaos. How beneath all the drama of our lives there are constants. Breath, heartbeat, the turning of the earth, the pull of gravity. These things persist, and we can anchor ourselves to them when everything else feels uncertain. Right now, you're anchored to your breath, to the weight of your body, to the darkness behind your eyelids. These are your constants, your tides, and they're enough. In the story, seasons are becoming more distinct again. The dust has mostly settled now. It's been years, maybe decades. The sun shines through clearer skies. And with that clearer light, with more predictable temperatures, plants can follow their old patterns again. Growth in spring, flowering in summer, seeding in fall, dormancy in winter. The deciduous trees that survived, the ones that drop their leaves seasonally, they're doing that again, responding to day length, to temperature, to signals we don't fully understand. And when they drop their leaves, those leaves pile up on the forest floor and decay and add nutrients to the soil and feed the next generation of growth. It's all connected, every part feeding every other part. Nothing wasted, nothing lost, just transformed, cycled, returned in a different form. The mammals are learning to time their breeding to these seasons, to have their young when food is most abundant, when the weather is mildest. Their bodies synchronize with the Earth's rhythms without conscious thought. Hormones shift with changing day length. Reproductive cycles align with the availability of resources. This is intelligence of a different kind. Not the intelligence of problem-solving or language, but the intelligence of adaptation, of being in tune with the world, of responding appropriately to signals and cues. Your body has this intelligence too. It knows when to release melatonin to make you sleepy. It knows when to lower your body temperature slightly to facilitate deeper sleep. It knows how to cycle through different stages of sleep, each with its own purpose, its own kind of restoration. You don't have to manage any of this. It manages itself. All you have to do is allow it, surrender to it, trust it. In the night sky above the recovering Earth, meteor showers still streak across the darkness. Debris from the asteroid impact, material thrown into orbit that's slowly falling back down. Each shooting star is a tiny piece of that catastrophic day, burning up harmlessly now in the atmosphere, adding its light to the darkness before vanishing. Everything returns, everything comes home, the dust settles, the meteors fall, the cycles complete themselves. There's a rightness to it, a kind of cosmic order that operates beneath and beyond all the chaos and change. The sound of rain is becoming more common now, not acid rain anymore, or not as acidic. The atmosphere has cleansed itself. And regular rain, pure water falling from clouds, it's the most healing thing in the world. It washes. It nourishes. It fills the rivers and lakes. It soaks into the ground and reaches the roots of plants. Imagine that rain now, soft, steady, not a storm, just a gentle rain falling on the recovering forest, pattering on leaves, dripping from branches, creating tiny streams that merge into larger ones. The sound of it is peaceful, isn't it? Soothing in a way that's hard to explain. Maybe you can hear rain in your imagination, or maybe you're remembering rain you've actually heard. Either way, let that sound be here with us now, a soft percussion underlying the story. A rhythm you can rest inside. The small mammals take shelter from the rain in hollow logs in burrows in the spaces between rocks. They wait it out, dry and safe in their refuges, and when the rain passes, they emerge to a world refreshed. Smells are sharper, colors are brighter, the air tastes clean, water is life, always has been, always will be. The presence of liquid water on Earth is what makes all of this possible. The chemistry of life requires it. And in the post-impact world, as the water cycle normalizes, as rain falls and rivers flow and oceans circulate, life's recovery accelerates. The fungi send up fruiting bodies after the rain. Mushrooms appear overnight, seemingly from nowhere, though they were there all along, waiting as networks of mycelia in the soil. The rain triggers their emergence, and the mammals and insects that eat them benefit from this sudden abundance. Abundance after scarcity. That's the pattern, the cycle. Lean times followed by plenty. The universe contracts and expands, breathes in and out, and we, small as we are, brief as we are, we're part of that breathing. Your own breath continues, steady and slow, in and out. Each breath complete in itself. Each breath exactly what this moment needs. Nothing more, nothing less. Time stretches out before us now like a calm ocean. We're floating on it, drifting, moving forward, but in no hurry. Hours have passed since we began this journey together, and hours remain. But that's okay. There's nowhere else to be. Nothing else to do. Just this gentle exploration of the ancient world, this soft meditation on change and continuity. The mammals are spreading now, moving into new territories. The world is large and there's space for everyone. They're following river valleys into new lands. They're crossing mountain passes when the seasons allow. They're island hopping on pieces of vegetation that float in the ocean, accidentally colonizing distant shores. Evolution is a patient artist. It works with whatever is available. Random mutations, environmental pressures, opportunities that arise by chance. And over generations, over countless lifetimes, new forms emerge. Forms that would have seemed impossible before. Forms that fill niches that didn't exist until they were filled. One lineage of mammals is learning to climb better. Their feet are becoming more dexterous. Their tails are lengthening for balance. They're taking to the trees, those survivors that are growing tall again, reaching for the clearing sky. In the trees, there's food that ground dwellers can't reach. Insects in bark. Fruits developing on branches. A three-dimensional world full of possibility. Another lineage is going the opposite direction. Digging deeper, becoming more specialized for life underground. Their eyes are shrinking, becoming less important in the darkness of tunnels. Their sense of touch is heightening. Their digging claws are growing stronger. They're creating entire worlds beneath our feet, networks of burrows and chambers, safe from predators, insulated from temperature extremes. There's no right way to be a mammal, no single path. The beauty of evolution is its creativity, its willingness to try everything, to explore every possible solution to the problem of survival. The same is true for sleep in a way. Some people dream vividly every night. Others rarely remember dreams. Some need many hours of sleep. Others need less. Some are light sleepers, alert to every sound. Others sink into such deep sleep that nothing disturbs them. All of these are normal. All of these are valid ways to rest. However you sleep, whatever your patterns, they're yours, they're right for you. There's no need to change them or judge them, just accept them the way the earth accepts all the different forms life takes, without preference, without judgment. Birds are evolving too. The survivors of the impact, they're diversifying just like the mammals. Some are becoming larger, filling the empty niches left by pterosaurs, those flying reptiles that didn't make it through. Some are becoming smaller, more specialized, developing beaks shaped for specific foods. A long, thin beak for probing flowers, a thick, strong beak for cracking seeds, a hooked beak for tearing meat. In the trees, the birds and the climbing mammals will eventually develop a relationship. Competition for some resources, mutual benefits in others. Birds spreading seeds that mammals can't. Mammals providing prey for larger birds. Ecosystems are webs, not hierarchies. Everything connected to everything else in patterns of giving and taking, eating and being eaten, helping and hindering. And through it all, the underlying pattern is balance. Not a static balance, but a dynamic one, constantly adjusting, constantly responding, like a tightrope walker who never stands still but is always making tiny corrections to stay upright. Your body maintains balance too. Blood sugar levels, body temperature, pH, countless variables that need to stay within narrow ranges for health. And your body does this automatically, constantly, without your conscious mind needing to be involved. It's a kind of miracle, really, this constant self-regulation that keeps you alive. As you rest tonight, all those regulatory systems continue their work. Your liver processes, your kidneys filter, your brain consolidates memories and clears metabolic waste. Sleep isn't absence of activity, it's different activity, essential activity, the kind that can only happen when the conscious mind releases its grip. So release your grip, let go a little more. You don't need to hold on to anything right now. Not this story, not your thoughts, not your identity. You can just be here, present but peaceful, aware but not attached. The sun is setting in our story. Another day ending in the recovering world. The sky is beautiful now, truly beautiful, with clouds catching the light in shades of orange and pink and purple. The dust that remains is just enough to create spectacular sunsets, not enough to block the sun's warmth. A bird calls out in the dimming light. Another answers. They're settling in for the night, finding their roosts, fluffing their feathers for warmth. Soon the nocturnal creatures will emerge. The early mammals, many of them, are nocturnal. They sleep through the day and wake when darkness comes. But we don't have to wake. We can continue our gentle drift. The story continues with us or without us. And if you find yourself falling asleep, truly sleeping, that's perfect. That's the whole point. This story is a vehicle, and the destination is rest. The stars emerge one by one as darkness deepens. The same stars, the same patterns. Orion will rise, though it won't be called Orion for millions of years yet. The Pleiades cluster, the bright point of Sirius, all there, all constant, all indifferent to the drama unfolding on the planet below. And maybe that's comforting. Maybe it's good to know that beyond all our concerns, beyond all the changes and challenges, there are things that remain, distant points of light that have shone for billions of years and will shine for billions more. You're under those same stars right now, even if you can't see them. Even if you're indoors, even if clouds cover the sky, they're there. Shining, constant, silent witnesses to everything that has ever happened and everything that ever will. The night deepens. The temperature drops slightly. The mammals in their burrows curl up together for warmth. The birds tuck their heads under their wings. Even the insects find shelter in bark or leaf litter or underground. Everything rests. Everything pauses. The earth itself seems to breathe easier in the darkness, taking a break from the intensity of daylight, from the demands of photosynthesis and growth and activity. You're part of this rest, this planetary pause, this collective exhale. And in being part of it, you're connected to everything that has ever rested, everything that has ever needed darkness and quiet to restore itself. You don't need to stay awake for the story will still be here. A gentle murmur in the background, a soft companion for however long you need it. There's no test at the end. No need to remember details. Just let the words wash over you like waves on a shore, each one reaching for you and then retreating. Reaching and retreating in an endless rhythm that asks nothing except that you be here, be at peace, be at rest. We're deep in the night now, deep in the story, deep in time. And everything blends together in a soft way, like watercolors running into each other, creating new shades that weren't there before but somehow were always there, waiting to be revealed. The earth is building layers. Every day, every year, sediment settles in lakes and rivers and oceans, in swamps and floodplains. Each layer a page in the book of time, each layer containing evidence of what lived, what grew, what happened. In the rock that's forming right now in our story, there will be pollen from the ferns that grew in ash. There will be shells from the survivors in the ocean. There will be tiny bones from the mammals that are beginning to diversify. And millions of years from now, scientists will study these layers with careful attention, reading the story of recovery the way you might read a novel page by page, discovering what happened next. But the Earth doesn't know it's writing a story, it's just being, just existing, just following the laws of physics and chemistry and biology that govern all things. The story emerges from the being, not the other way around. You're creating layers too, in a sense, layers of memory. Each day adding to the ones before. Each experience settling into your neural networks, connecting with what was already there, creating patterns that make you who you are. And someday, when you look back on your life, you'll see the layers. The periods of calm and the periods of change. The times of plenty and the times of scarcity. The extinctions and the emergencies. The mammals in the story are developing something new. Stronger bonds between mothers and offspring. The earliest mammals laid eggs like their reptile ancestors. But some lineages are evolving toward live birth. Toward carrying young inside the body, toward nursing them after birth with milk produced by specialized glands. This is revolutionary. This changes everything because it means the young can be smaller, more helpless at birth, and still survive. They don't need to be independent immediately. They can have a longer period of development, a longer childhood, and that longer childhood creates opportunities for learning, for the passing on of behaviors, not just through genes, but through observation and teaching. Intelligence flourishes in this space, in the gap between birth and independence. That's where culture can emerge. That's where innovation becomes possible. But all of this is still far in the future. Right now, the mammals are just beginning this journey, just taking the first small steps towards something they can't imagine and don't need to. They're not planning, they're not dreaming of the future. They're simply living, simply surviving, simply being what they are in this moment, like you right now. Not planning tomorrow, not reviewing yesterday, just being here in this moment, in this darkness, in this state of rest. The future will take care of itself. The past is already written. Only now exists, and now is exactly where you need to be. The forest is growing back denser now. Decades have passed in the time it took you to take a few breaths. Time moves strangely in stories. It compresses and expands. 1,000,000 years can pass in a sentence. A single moment can stretch for paragraphs. The trees that are growing now are different from the ones that grew before the impact. The species mix has changed. Some trees that were rare before are common now. Some that were common are rare or gone entirely. The forest looks similar from a distance, but up close, everything is different. Every detail has shifted. The pattern is the same, but the pieces have changed. Have you ever returned to a place after a long time away and found it both familiar and foreign? The outline is the same, but the details have transformed. That's how evolution works. The pattern of life persists. The principle of ecology continues, but the specific forms, the individual species, they come and go like waves on an ocean. The ocean itself is fuller now, more life in it. The phytoplankton have recovered in most areas. The food chains are rebuilding from the bottom up. Small fish are eating the plankton, larger fish are eating the small fish. And at the top, some predators are beginning to grow large again. But none will be quite as large as the marine reptiles that ruled before. The mosasaurs and plesiosaurs are gone. The ecological space they occupied is being filled, but differently. By sharks, perhaps, by early marine mammals that are just beginning to return to the water, by fish that are evolving toward larger sizes and more complex behaviors. Every extinction creates opportunities. That's not a justification of extinction. It's not saying that loss is good. It's simply acknowledging that nature fills empty spaces. Life expands to occupy what's available. And in that expansion, new forms emerge, forms that might never have existed if the old forms had persisted. Your own life has had its extinctions, hasn't it? Relationships that ended, jobs that finished, versions of yourself that you've outgrown. And in the space those endings created, new things emerged. New relationships, new work, new aspects of yourself that couldn't have developed without the space to grow. Not all endings are bad. Not all losses are permanent. Sometimes things end so that other things can begin. Sometimes we need to let go so that we can receive what's coming next. The night is very deep now, the darkest part the hours after midnight, but before dawn, the time when sleep is deepest, when dreams are strangest, when the boundary between self and not self becomes thin and permeable. In the story, most creatures are asleep. Even the nocturnal ones rest sometimes. Even they have cycles of activity and inactivity. The world is quiet. The wind has died down. The temperature has dropped to its lowest point. Everything is still, waiting for the sun to rise and begin everything again. But the sun is hours away yet. And we have time. All the time we need, time to drift deeper into rest, time to explore the quiet places in the story, time to let go of whatever needs to be let go of. The small mammals sleep in their burrows, curled together for warmth. Their breathing is soft and slow. Their hearts beat steadily, pumping blood through tiny bodies, keeping the flame of life burning through the cold night. You might notice your own heartbeat now. Steady, reliable. It's been beating your whole life, every moment of every day, never stopping, never forgetting its rhythm. You can trust it. You can relax into its steady pulse. Let it remind you that you're safe, you're alive, you're held by forces larger than yourself. Under the ground, roots are growing, even in the darkness, even in winter. Roots extend slowly through soil, seeking water, seeking nutrients. Plants don't sleep the way animals do. They have their own rhythms, their own cycles, but they're always growing, always reaching, always becoming. And deep beneath the roots, beneath the soil, beneath the layers of sediment and rock, the earth itself continues its slow processes. Tectonic plates drift, magma circulates in the mantle. The iron core spins, generating the magnetic field that protects the surface from cosmic radiation. All of this happens without anyone watching, without anyone needing to manage it. The Earth knows how to be Earth. It doesn't need instructions or guidance. It simply is, in all its complexity, in all its beauty, in all its cycles of creation and destruction and recreation. You know how to be you in the same way. Your body knows how to rest. Your mind knows how to let go. You don't have to try. You don't have to force anything. You can simply allow, simply surrender, simply be. In the deepest quiet, there's a kind of sound. Not silence exactly, but something else. A presence that fills the space where noise would be. A fullness in the emptiness. Can you hear it now? Not with your ears, but with some other sense, some deeper way of perceiving. The story has become very soft now, very gentle. We're not rushing anywhere. We're not trying to reach any particular destination. We're simply here in this space between sleeping and waking, in this time that belongs to neither day nor night, but exists in its own dimension. Years are passing in the story, but so slowly now that you almost can't tell. The changes are minute. A species becomes slightly more common. Another becomes slightly more rare. The climate shifts by a fraction of a degree. The continents drift by a few centimeters. Everything is moving, but so slowly that from any single perspective, everything seems still. Maybe your thoughts have become like that too. Slow, sparse, drifting through your mind like clouds across a summer sky, appearing and disappearing without effort, without meaning anything particular. Just there and then not there, and then there again. The mammals sleep their deep sleep. In that sleep, their bodies repair. Muscles rebuild. Immune systems strengthen. Memories consolidate. Sleep is when the body does its most important work, the maintenance that keeps everything functioning. And they surrender to it completely, these ancient mammals, without resistance, without trying to stay awake, without anxiety about what tomorrow might bring. Tomorrow will come, whether they worry about it or not, so they don't worry, they simply rest. And in that rest, they're renewed. In the ocean, some creatures never sleep. Not the way we understand sleep. Fish, many of them rest but remain somewhat alert, slowing down but not shutting down completely. They can't afford to become completely unconscious in an environment where danger could come from any direction. But even they have periods of reduced activity. Even they need to conserve energy to allow their systems to restore themselves. Rest takes many forms. There's no single right way to do it. However you're resting right now in this moment, it's exactly right. If you're fully asleep, that's perfect. If you're hovering in that space between sleep and waking, that's perfect too. If you're awake but relaxed, listening to the words but not holding on to them, that's also exactly where you need to be. The Earth rests in its own way, not sleeping but cycling, day into night, night into day, season into season, ice age into warm period and back again. These are the Earth's rhythms of rest and activity, playing out over timescales we can barely comprehend. In the story, we're perhaps 50 years after the impact now, or 100. The exact number doesn't matter. What matters is that the world has changed. It's not the world that existed before, but it's not the immediate post-impact world either. It's something new, something that's finding its own balance, its own patterns, its own way of being. The sky is often clear now, the dust has settled, the aerosols have precipitated out. On a clear night, the stars are brilliant, undimmed by artificial light, undiluted by atmospheric haze. You could see the Milky Way stretching across the sky like a river of light. You could see the Andromeda Galaxy with the naked eye, a fuzzy smudge of light that's actually 2.5 million light-years away. Distance like that is hard to comprehend, but maybe that's okay. Maybe we don't need to comprehend everything. Maybe some things are meant to simply be experienced, felt, wondered at, without fully understanding. The mammals sometimes look up at the sky, in our imagination at least. Do they wonder? Do they have any concept of those distant lights? Probably not. Their consciousness is different from ours. Simpler in some ways, more focused in others. They live entirely in the present moment, entirely in their immediate sensory experience. No past to regret, no future to fear, only now. What would it be like to live that way? To be so fully present that nothing else exists? Maybe in deep sleep you touch that state. Maybe in those moments of complete unconsciousness, when even dreams fade away, you exist in pure presence, pure being, without thought or memory or anticipation. The trees stand in the darkness, their leaves rustling softly when the wind rises. They're not aware in the way animals are aware. They don't have nervous systems or brains, but they respond to their environment. They sense light and gravity and water. They communicate with each other through chemical signals in the air and through the fungal networks in the soil. They have a kind of wisdom that doesn't require consciousness. Ancient wisdom, the wisdom of simply being what you are fully, without apology or doubt. A tree doesn't question whether it's being a good tree. It doesn't worry about its purpose. It simply grows toward the light, extends its roots into the earth, exchanges carbon dioxide for oxygen, provides food and shelter for other beings. It does what trees do, and in that doing, it fulfills something essential. You're fulfilling something essential too right now by resting, by allowing your body to restore itself, by giving your mind a break from its constant activity. This isn't laziness or waste. This is necessary. This is vital. This is how you prepare for whatever comes next. The stream that flows through the forest makes its quiet sound. Water over stones, a sound that hasn't changed in millions of years. A sound that will be the same millions of years from now. Water flows downhill, always has, always will, and in that flowing, it shapes stone, carries nutrients, sustains life, reflects starlight. If you listen very carefully in your imagination, or perhaps in your actual environment, you might hear water, the drip of a faucet, the rain on a roof, the ocean in the distance, or just the memory of water, the remembered sound that your mind can recreate perfectly, as soothing as the real thing. Let that sound be here with us. Let it underlie everything. Water music, the oldest music, the first sound most of us heard when we floated in amniotic fluid before birth, hearing our mother's heartbeat, hearing the flow of blood, hearing the muffled sounds of the world outside. We come from water. We're mostly water. And when we die, we return to water, our atoms rejoining the great cycle of the hydrological system, evaporating and precipitating and flowing and evaporating again, forever and ever, the same water that has always been here, circulating, unchanging in essence, constantly changing in form. Everything flows, everything moves, but nothing is lost. The first law of thermodynamics: energy is conserved, matter is conserved. It changes form but persists. Atoms that were once part of a dinosaur might now be part of you. Atoms that are now part of you will eventually be part of something else. Trees, ocean, sky. We're all made of star stuff, as they say. We're all connected across time and space in ways we're only beginning to understand. And in the not understanding, there's peace. In the mystery, there's rest. You don't have to figure everything out tonight. You don't have to solve any puzzles or answer any questions. You can simply drift in the mystery, held by it, part of it, allowing it to carry you wherever you need to go. The moon pulls the tides shape the shoreline. The shoreline provides habitat. The habitat supports life. Life dies and becomes sediment. Sediment becomes rock. Rock is uplifted by tectonic forces. Rain erodes the rock back to sediment, around and around. Nothing linear, everything circular, everything connected. In the post-impact world, these cycles continue. They've never stopped. They can't stop. They're fundamental to how the planet works, and in their continuation, in their persistence, there's something deeply reassuring. No matter what catastrophe occurs, these basic patterns remain. The planet knows how to be a planet. Life knows how to be life. The seasons turn, winter into spring, spring into summer, summer into fall, fall into winter. And with each turning, the world renews itself. Snow melts and feeds the rivers. Rivers flood and deposit nutrients on floodplains. Plants grow and flower and seed. Seeds fall and wait through winter. Spring comes and they germinate, around and around. Your own life has cycles too, waking and sleeping, hunger and satiation, work and rest, inhaling and exhaling. Your heart expands and contracts. Your cells divide and die. Hormones rise and fall. You're not a static thing. You're a process, a verb, not a noun, always changing, always flowing, always becoming. And right now, you're in the resting part of the cycle, the night part, the restoration part. This is essential. This is when you come back to center. This is when balance is restored after the activity of the day. The mammals in their burrows understand this instinctively. They don't fight it. They don't try to stay awake when their bodies say sleep. They listen to the signals. They respond appropriately. They surrender to the cycle. Can you surrender too? Can you let go of any remaining tension, any remaining thought, any remaining sense that you need to be somewhere else or do something else? Can you simply be here, in this moment, in this darkness, in this safety, in this rest? The Earth rotates every day, every single day for billions of years. It's turned on its axis, bringing different parts of itself into sunlight and into darkness. You're on the part that's in darkness now, the shadow side, the resting side, and that's exactly where you should be. On the other side of the planet in our story, it's day. Mammals are active, birds are calling, plants are photosynthesizing, the sun is warm. But here, where we are, it's night, cool, quiet, dark. And night is just as important as day. Rest is just as important as activity. Modern culture sometimes forgets this. It values productivity, achievement, constant activity. But the Earth knows better. Half of time is darkness. Half of existence is rest. You can't have one without the other. You can't have perpetual day. You can't have perpetual activity. You'd burn out. The system would collapse. So rest, not because you've earned it or deserve it, but because it's part of the natural cycle, because you're a mammal and mammals sleep, because you're alive and living things need periods of recovery. The river flows through day and night without distinction. Water doesn't care about time. It flows when there's a gradient, when gravity pulls it downhill. The same water flowing now in darkness will flow in daylight too. The flowing is continuous. Only our perception of it changes. Your breath is like that, flowing continuously, whether you're aware of it or not, whether it's day or night, whether you're awake or asleep. It doesn't stop. It doesn't need your attention or management. It simply is. And maybe you can rest in that simplicity, in the basic fact of breathing in, out, in, out. Nothing complicated, nothing difficult, just the most natural thing in the world, happening on its own, requiring nothing from you except that you allow it. In the story, clouds are gathering, rain is coming, the barometric pressure is dropping. Animals sense this. They seek shelter before the first drops fall. They have an intuitive understanding of weather that we've largely lost, we modern humans with our radar and forecast apps. But the ancient mammals, they read the sky, the wind, the feel of the air on their fur. They know when weather is changing, and they respond, not with worry or complaint, but with simple action. Find shelter, wait, the storm will pass. All storms pass. All difficulties are temporary. The weather of our lives changes constantly. Sometimes sunny, sometimes stormy. But nothing lasts forever. Not the good times, not the hard times. Everything is in motion, everything is changing, everything is flowing towards something else. The rain begins to fall. Soft at first. Gentle drops that barely make a sound. Then harder. a steady drumming on leaves, on earth, on water. The sound is soothing, isn't it? Rain has been soothing people to sleep for as long as people have existed. There's something about that white noise, that consistent patter, that helps the mind let go. Let it help you now. Even if you're not actually hearing rain, you can imagine it. You can remember it. You can let the idea of rain, the concept of rain, do its calming work, washing everything clean, soaking into the earth, feeding the plants, filling the streams, completing the cycle. In the burrow, the mammals are dry and warm. They can hear the rain muffled through earth and root, but they're safe from it, protected. And maybe you feel that way too, in your bed, in your room, in your shelter. Outside, the world continues. Inside, you're protected, safe, held. The rain will fall all night in our story. And through that rain, through that darkness, through that stillness, the earth recovers. Molecules of water that were ocean yesterday are soil today, will be plant tomorrow, will be animal the day after. Nothing static, everything flowing, everything transforming, everything part of the great cycle that has no beginning and no end. Just constant circulation, constant renewal, constant becoming. You're part of that cycle, part of that flow. And tonight, your part is to rest, to allow, to surrender, to sleep. Space is mostly empty. Between the stars, between the galaxies, there's almost nothing. Just a few atoms per cubic meter. Vast distances filled with almost nothing. And yet that emptiness is full of potential, full of energy, full of the quantum foam that underlies all of reality. In the same way, the moments between thoughts can feel empty, but they're not. They're full of awareness, full of presence, full of the potential for whatever comes next. Maybe you're experiencing those empty spaces now. Thoughts are sparse, far apart, like stars in the night sky, each one bright, but surrounded by dark space, quiet space, restful space. That space is where peace lives, not in the thoughts themselves, but in the gaps between them, the pauses, the silences, the moments when the mind is still and nothing needs to happen and everything is exactly as it should be. In the recovered world, there are vast spaces too. Forests stretch for hundreds of miles, oceans extend to every horizon, the sky goes on forever. And in those vast spaces, life is distributed sparsely. A bird here, a mammal there, a flowering plant in a clearing. All of it connected, all of it part of the same system, but with space between, room to breathe, room to be. Modern life can feel crowded sometimes. Too many people, too much information, too many demands. But in sleep you have space. In darkness you have room. In this story you have permission to simply be without needing to do anything, to figure anything out, to respond to any demands. The stars above the story's earth, they're so far apart. Millions of miles, billions of miles. And yet from our perspective, they look close, clustered into patterns we call constellations. Distance changes everything. Perspective changes everything. Your worries, your concerns, your problems, from up close they seem large, all-consuming. But step back, zoom out, see them from the perspective of deep time, from the perspective of geological ages, from the perspective of the stars. How big are they really? How permanent? How important? Not to diminish them. Your experiences are real. Your feelings matter, but sometimes it helps to remember scale, to remember that you're one small being on one small planet, in one average solar system, in one ordinary galaxy among trillions. The universe is vast, and in that vastness there's permission to let go of the burden of importance, permission to simply be small and temporary and okay. The Earth itself is small in cosmic terms, a pale blue dot as Carl Sagan called it, a mote of dust suspended in a sunbeam. And yet on that mote has flourished, consciousness has emerged, beauty has come into being. Size isn't everything. Significance doesn't require scale. You're small too, but complete, perfect as you are. Exactly the right size to be human, exactly the right consciousness to experience what you experience. You don't need to be larger or more important. You just need to be yourself fully without apology. In the story, the rain has stopped. The clouds are breaking up. Through the gaps, starlight filters down. Everything is wet. Everything is clean. Everything sparkles in the starlight, drops of water catching and reflecting the distant suns, each drop a tiny mirror, a tiny lens, a tiny world. The mammals emerge from their burrows. They move cautiously in the wet darkness, their paws silent on soft earth. They're looking for food, for water, for whatever they need to survive one more day. They're not thinking about next week or next year, only now. Only this moment, only what's needed right here. That's wisdom, that's peace. To be fully present to what's actually happening, rather than lost in thoughts about what might happen or what did happen. The past is gone, the future hasn't arrived, only now exists. Only now is real. And in this now, you're safe, you're comfortable, you're at rest. Nothing threatening you, nothing demanding anything. Just this soft darkness, this comfortable bed, this gentle story, this quiet night. The ocean stretches to every horizon, vast and deep and full of mysteries. In its depths, creatures move that have never seen sunlight, that live their entire lives in darkness, more complete than any night you've ever experienced. They've adapted to the pressure, to the cold, to the absence of light. They've found ways to thrive in conditions that seem impossible. Life is like that. Adaptable beyond imagining, resilient beyond measure. Given enough time, it finds a way into every corner, every niche, every possibility. Even in the hardest places, even in the darkest times, something survives, something persists. Something carries the flame forward. You've survived everything that's happened to you so far, every difficulty, every loss, every dark night. You're still here, still breathing, still capable of rest, of peace, of experiencing this moment. That's not nothing, that's everything. The deep ocean creatures, they don't know they're in darkness, they don't experience it as absence. For them, it's just normal, just the way things are. They're not waiting for light, they're not missing anything, they're complete in their environment, adapted to it, at home in it. Maybe you can be at home in this darkness too, not waiting for morning, not missing daylight, but simply here, simply present, simply accepting what is. Darkness isn't absence, it's its own kind of fullness, its own kind of presence. The water in the ocean is old. Some of it has been ocean for millions of years. Some of it was ice, some of it was rain, some of it was inside living things. But it's all still water, still H2O, still flowing, still circulating, still part of the great planetary cycle. You're mostly water too. The water in your body right now, it's been other places, other times, part of ancient oceans, part of rain that fell on dinosaurs, part of ice ages and tropical seas, and it's here now in you, making you possible, flowing through you, keeping you alive. In a sense, you're a temporary configuration of very old materials, atoms that have been around since the universe began, arranged into this particular pattern that is you, that experiences, that feels, that rests. And eventually those atoms will be released, will join other configurations, will become other things, but right now, they're you. And that's a kind of miracle. The wind has picked up slightly. It moves through the trees with a sound like breathing, or maybe like the ocean, or maybe like the wings of 1,000,000 birds all taking flight at once, sound and silence mixing together, creating something that's neither and both. Listen to that wind in your imagination. Feel it on your skin, cool and fresh after the rain. It carries the scent of wet earth, of growing things, of life renewing itself. It carries possibilities, seeds that will become trees, spores that will become mushrooms, pollen that will become fruit. Everything carries everything else. The wind carries seeds, the water carries nutrients, the soil carries minerals. Animals carry bacteria in their guts, without which they couldn't digest food. Trees carry fungi in their roots, without which they couldn't access nutrients. Everything interpenetrating, everything supporting everything else. You're not separate either. You exist in relationship. To the air you breathe, to the food you eat, to the people you know, to the stories you tell yourself, to the universe that contains you, separate and connected simultaneously, individual and part of the whole. In the story, dawn is still far away. Hours and hours of darkness remain, but that's okay. There's no hurry. The night is generous. It offers all the time you need, all the space, all the quiet. Take what you need. Rest as deeply as you can. No one's keeping track, no one's measuring. Just be here, just breathe, just let go. The stars wheel slowly overhead, following their eternal paths. The earth turns beneath them. And on the surface of that earth, in the recovering world, in the time after catastrophe, life continues. Quietly, persistently, beautifully. A small mammal sits at the edge of a clearing, looking up at the sky. Does it see beauty there? Does it feel wonder? We can't know, but it's still just sitting, just being, just existing in this moment. And maybe that's enough. Maybe existence itself is enough. Maybe we don't need to achieve or accomplish or understand. Maybe we just need to be, like you're being right now, just existing, just breathing, just present in this moment, in this darkness, in this rest. Nothing more required, nothing less needed, just this, just now, just you, exactly as you are. There's a place beneath sleep, deeper than dreams, deeper than thought. A place where the self dissolves into something larger, something older, something that has no name and needs no name. Maybe you've touched that place already tonight. Maybe you're drifting toward it now. Or maybe you're content to float in lighter waters, suspended between awareness and unconsciousness, and that's perfect too. There's no destination, no goal. Just this gentle movement, this soft drifting, this allowing. In the story, we've come so far. Millions of years have passed in the time we've been together, or maybe it's been only moments. Time is strange in this space, elastic, flowing in multiple directions at once, past and future and present, all existing simultaneously, all available, all here. The world has healed itself. Not returned to what it was, because that's impossible, but found a new balance, a new way of being. The forests are thick again. The oceans are full again. The sky is clear again. And through it all, new forms of life have emerged, testing the boundaries of possibility, exploring what it means to be alive in this particular time, in this particular place. The mammals have diversified beyond recognition. Some have grown large, others remain small. Some eat plants, others eat insects, a few eat other mammals. They've radiated into every available niche, every possible way of making a living. And among them, in one particular lineage, something new is stirring. A slight increase in brain size, a slight improvement in memory, a slight edge in problem solving. The distant ancestors of primates of you taking their first tentative steps toward consciousness as we know it. But that's millions of years away. Right now, they're just small, furry creatures in the trees, eating fruit, avoiding predators, having offspring that will have offspring that will have offspring. On and on, generation after generation, slowly changing, slowly becoming something new. You're the result of that long, slow process, the culmination of millions of years of survival and adaptation and change. Your ancestors survived the asteroid impact, they survived ice ages, They survive droughts and floods and climate changes and competition and predation, an unbroken line of survival stretching back to the origin of life itself. And now that line has led to you, lying here, resting, safe, comfortable, at peace. All that history, all that struggle, all that persistence, it's brought you to this moment. This quiet, gentle moment where nothing is required except rest. You can let go now. Let go of holding up the world. Let go of trying to control anything. Let go of needing to understand or figure out or solve. The universe will continue without your supervision. The earth will keep turning. Your body will keep breathing. Everything that needs to happen will happen. Your only job right now is to surrender, to sink, to allow yourself to be held by the darkness, by the quiet, by the soft embrace of sleep. Trust it. Trust the process. Trust your body's ancient wisdom about what it needs. In the depths of the ocean, there are creatures that produce their own light. Bioluminescence, it's called. In the complete darkness of the deep sea, they glow, not to fight the darkness, but to work with it, to use it, to communicate, to hunt, to mate. The darkness isn't their enemy, it's their home. And maybe this darkness is your home too right now. Not something to resist or fear, but something to embrace. Something that holds you, protects you, gives you space to restore yourself. Darkness as womb, as sanctuary, as the place where transformation happens. Seeds germinate in darkness, babies grow in darkness, healing happens in darkness. It's not absence, it's presence of a different kind, creative, generative, full of potential. Let yourself sink into that potential, into that creative darkness, where you're not required to be anything in particular, where you can just be pure possibility, pure awareness, pure existence without form or definition. The mammals sleep their deepest sleep now in the darkest part of the night. Their breathing is so slow, their heartbeat so steady. They're as close to stillness as a living thing can be while remaining alive. And in that stillness they restore themselves completely, every cell replenishing, every system rebalancing, the body's wisdom doing its work without interference. Your body wants to do the same work, it's trying to. Maybe it already is. All you need to do is get out of the way, stop trying, stop thinking, stop being conscious. Just let go. Let the body do what bodies do. Let sleep take you where it wants to take you. There's nothing to fear in letting go. You'll come back. You always do. Morning always comes. Consciousness always returns. But right now, you don't need it. Right now, you can release it. Give yourself permission to disappear for a while, to dissolve, to become nothing and everything simultaneously. The earth knows how to be earth. The ocean knows how to be ocean. The stars know how to be stars. And you know how to sleep. It's built into you, encoded in every cell. You've done it thousands of times. You're good at it. Trust that. Trust yourself. The story continues, but you don't need to follow it anymore. You can drift away, drift down, drift into depths so peaceful, so quiet, so still that nothing disturbs them. Not thought, not sensation, not even time itself. Just pure rest, pure being, pure peace. The trees stand in the darkness, their roots deep in the earth, their branches reaching towards stars. They don't need to do anything to be trees, they just are, perfectly, completely, without effort or strain. Be like the trees, just be, not trying to be anything, not trying to improve or achieve or understand, just existing, just breathing, just resting in your own nature, whatever that is in this moment. The river flows to the sea, not because it's trying to, but because that's what rivers do. Gravity pulls, water follows, no effort, no resistance. Just natural movement, natural flow, natural surrender to what is. Flow like the river, surrender like the water. Let gravity pull you down into sleep, down into rest, down into the deep places where healing lives, where restoration happens, where you become yourself again, fresh and new and ready for whatever comes next. But that's tomorrow's concern. Right now, there's only this darkness, this quiet, this perfect moment of letting go, of trusting, of allowing yourself to fall, knowing something will catch you, sleep will catch you, rest will hold you, morning will bring you back. For now, let go. Just let go. The story will continue, the world will turn, and you can rest deep, deep, deeper still, into the place where everything is okay, where everything has always been okay, where everything will always be okay, down, down, down into the soft, dark, peaceful deep. In the almost silence, in the space between heartbeats, there's a kind of knowing that doesn't require thought. The way plants know to grow toward light. The way water knows to flow downhill. The way your body knows to rest when darkness comes. This knowing is older than language, older than consciousness. It's written into the basic structure of existence, into the way matter arranges itself, into the patterns that repeat at every scale, from atoms to galaxies. In the recovered world, these patterns are everywhere. The branching of trees mirrors the branching of rivers, mirrors the branching of blood vessels in your body. The spiral of a nautilus shell mirrors the spiral of a hurricane, mirrors the spiral of galaxies. The same mathematics, the same geometry, expressed over and over in different forms. Everything is connected to everything else, not just metaphorically, but actually. The carbon in your bones was forged in the heart of a dying star. The iron in your blood was created in a supernova explosion. You're made of star stuff, and so is everything else. The trees, the mammals, the ocean, all of us, all of it, made from the same basic ingredients, arranged in different patterns. And because we're all made of the same stuff, we're all connected, not separate things in a world of separate things, but waves in the same ocean, expressions of the same underlying reality. When you breathe, you take in oxygen produced by plants. When plants photosynthesize, they use carbon dioxide you exhaled. You're exchanging atoms with the world constantly, millions of times per second. Where do you end and the world begin? The boundary is less clear than you might think. More permeable, more fluid. You're not a thing in the world. You're a process the world is doing, a way the universe has of knowing itself. The mammals in the story, they're part of this same web, connected to the plants they eat, to the insects those plants depend on for pollination, to the fungi that help the plants access nutrients, to the bacteria in their own guts that help them digest food. Nothing exists in isolation. Everything depends on everything else. And in that dependence, there's a kind of support, a kind of holding. You're not alone. You've never been alone. You're held by systems and relationships and connections that you barely perceive, but that sustain you constantly. The air you breathe, the ground beneath you, the gravity that keeps you oriented, the electromagnetic force that keeps your atoms from flying apart. You're being held right now by your bed, by the building around you, by the earth beneath, by gravity, by the laws of physics, by the fundamental forces that make existence possible. You can relax into that holding, trust it, surrender to it. You're supported, you're safe, you can let go. In the forest, a seed falls from a tree. It lands in soil enriched by the decay of leaves, by the work of fungi and bacteria and worms. It waits through winter, dormant, patient. And when spring comes, when conditions are right, it germinates, sends a root down, sends a shoot up, becomes what it always had the potential to become, a tree. But it doesn't do this alone. It needs the soil, the water, the sunlight, the microorganisms, the larger ecosystem. It's connected to everything, dependent on everything, and in that dependence it finds the support it needs to grow. You're like that seed, dependent on so much. The food you ate today, grown by farmers you'll never meet. The water that flows from your tap, cleaned and delivered by systems you don't think about. The electricity, the infrastructure, the countless human and natural systems that make your life possible. You're embedded in a web of support, even if you don't always feel it. And right now, in this moment, that web is holding you, allowing you to rest, allowing you to let go of effort, allowing you to simply be, without needing to maintain yourself or figure anything out. The world is taking care of itself, and in doing so, it's taking care of you. The ocean currents move, carrying warmth from the equator to the poles, carrying nutrients from the deep to the surface, connecting every part of the ocean to every other part. And the ocean is connected to the atmosphere through evaporation and rain. And the atmosphere is connected to the land through weather and erosion, and the land is connected to life through soil and nutrients. Everything flowing into everything else, everything part of one great system. You're part of that system, not separate from nature, but a piece of it, an expression of it. When you rest, the whole system rests with you. When you heal, the whole system is healing. You're not just in the world, you are the world, experiencing itself, knowing itself, resting itself. So rest deeply, not just for yourself, but for the whole web of life that you're part of. Rest as an act of trust in the systems that support you. Rest as an acknowledgement that you don't have to do everything alone. Rest as a recognition that you're held, you're supported, you're part of something much larger than yourself. The stars above, they're part of the same web too, connected by gravity, by the light they share, by the elements they create and scatter into space. And that scattered material becomes new stars, new planets, new life. The cycle continues, the web expands, the connections deepen, and somewhere in that vast web, in this particular moment, on this particular planet, you're resting, breathing, being. And that's enough, that's everything. That's your part in the great pattern in this moment, to rest, to trust, to let go. If the story of Earth's recovery teaches us anything, it's that healing takes time. That transformation happens slowly, that what looks like disaster from one perspective might be the beginning of something new from another perspective. The asteroid impact ended the age of dinosaurs. That's a loss. A vast, irreplaceable loss. Those magnificent creatures, some of the most successful life forms ever to exist, gone in a geological instant. But their ending made space for something else. For the age of mammals, for the diversification that eventually led to primates, to humans, to consciousness as we know it. Not that this justifies the loss, not that the end means justify the means, but it suggests that endings and beginnings are more intertwined than we usually think. That sometimes things need to fall apart before they can come back together in a new way. Maybe your life has taught you this too. Maybe you've experienced endings that felt catastrophic at the time, but that eventually led to new beginnings. Not that the endings weren't painful, not that you would have chosen them, but looking back, you can see how they changed you, how they opened possibilities that wouldn't have existed otherwise. Or maybe you're in an ending right now. Maybe something in your life is falling apart, and you can't yet see what will emerge from the rubble. If so, the story of Earth's recovery offers a kind of hope. Not a promise that everything will be okay in the way you want it to be, but a suggestion that life persists, that adaptation happens, that new forms emerge even from the most complete destruction. Healing is possible. Transformation is possible, but they take time. They take patience. They take trust in processes that operate on scales larger than our individual concerns. The mammals that survived the impact, they didn't know they were part of a great recovery. They didn't have a vision of the future. They just lived day by day, doing what they needed to do to survive, eating, sleeping, reproducing. And through those simple acts, repeated over millions of generations, They became the ancestors of everything that followed. Small acts accumulate. Small changes compound. What seems insignificant in the moment becomes, over time, something transformative. Every breath you take right now is small, insignificant. But together, all your breaths make up your life. Keep you alive. Allow everything else to happen. So maybe the teaching is this: trust the process, trust the small acts, trust the accumulation of days and moments and breaths. You don't need to transform yourself overnight. You don't need to have everything figured out. You just need to keep breathing, keep resting, keep doing the next small thing that's right in front of you. And sometimes, like right now, the next small thing is simply to rest, to allow, to surrender. That's enough. That's everything. Rest isn't preparation for something else. Rest is its own kind of doing, its own kind of being, its own kind of healing. The earth rested after the impact, in a sense. The frenzy of life slowed, the competition eased, the pressure released. And in that rest, in that space, new possibilities emerged. Not immediately, but eventually, given time. You're being given time right now. Hours of darkness, hours of quiet, hours to simply be, without demands, without expectations. What will emerge from this rest? You don't need to know, you don't need to plan it or force it or figure it out. Just rest and let emergence happen naturally, the way it always does, without effort, without strain. The trees don't try to grow, they just grow. The river doesn't try to flow, it just flows. And you don't need to try to heal or transform or become something different. Just rest and let your natural processes do their work. Your body knows how to heal. Your mind knows how to restore itself. Your spirit knows how to renew. Trust that knowledge, trust that wisdom, trust yourself. In the recovered world, there's beauty everywhere now. Not the same beauty as before. Different plants, different animals, different relationships, but beauty nonetheless. Life expressing itself in new forms, new patterns, new ways. The universe is creative beyond measure, endlessly inventive, always finding new ways to be. You're part of that creativity, part of that endless invention. You don't need to copy anyone else or be anything other than what you are. Your particular way of being, your particular expression, it's unique. It's never existed before and will never exist again. You're a once-in-the-universe event, irreplaceable, valuable simply by existing. So exist fully, completely, without apology. Rest deeply, dream vividly, wake refreshed, and know that you're exactly where you need to be, exactly who you need to be, exactly enough, just as you are. The night is very deep now, very quiet, very still. Most people are asleep, most animals are resting. The world is at peace, or as close to peace as it ever gets, and you can be at peace too, not because everything is perfect, not because all problems are solved, but because in this moment, in this darkness, in this rest, nothing is required of you except to be here, to breathe, to allow. Allow the story to fade, allow consciousness to dim, allow sleep to take you fully, completely into its dark embrace. You've journeyed so far tonight, through time, through catastrophe, through recovery, through connection, through teaching. And now, the journey can end. Not end, but complete itself, resolve itself, come to rest. Like a river reaching the ocean, like a seed finding soil, like a breath released fully, all the way to emptiness before the next breath naturally arises. Come to rest, come home, come to the place where everything is okay, has always been okay, will always be okay, no matter what happens in the world of form and change and time. Rest now, rest deeply, rest completely. The story has brought you here, the story holds you here. And when morning comes, if you remember any of this, it will be like remembering a dream. Soft, distant, peaceful. And that's exactly right. That's perfect. That's how it should be. There's one more thing to know about Earth's recovery. One more mystery to hold gently as you drift into deeper rest. The impact that ended one age and began another, it came from space, from the vast darkness between planets. A wanderer orbiting the sun for billions of years, following its own path until one day its path intersected with Earth's. Chance, randomness, or if you prefer, fate, destiny. The meeting that had to happen. And in that meeting, everything changed. Not just on Earth. The impact sent material from Earth into space. Some of it eventually fell to the Moon, to Mars, maybe even to the moons of Jupiter. And carried in that material possibly were microbes, life itself scattered into the solar system by the force of collision. So maybe the catastrophe that nearly ended life on Earth also seeded life elsewhere. Maybe the worst disaster became the greatest gift. Maybe destruction and creation are two faces of the same process, inseparable, intertwined, both necessary, both holy in their way. That's the final mystery, not a puzzle to solve, but a paradox to hold. How endings and beginnings dance together, how death feeds life, how loss creates space for gain, how the universe wastes nothing, transforms everything, makes beauty from chaos and chaos from beauty in an eternal cycle that has no beginning and no end. You're part of that cycle, your life is part of that dance, and right now in this moment, the dance is taking the form of rest, of stillness, of peace, and that's sacred, that's important. That's your contribution to the great pattern. The mammals sleep through the last of the night. The stars wheel toward dawn. The earth turns, patient and eternal, carrying all of us through darkness toward light, through night toward day, through rest toward waking. But waking is hours away, hours and hours, enough time for deep, healing rest, enough time for dreams if dreams come, enough time for nothing at all if that's what your body and mind need. No rush, no hurry. The night is generous, the darkness is kind, the story is complete. You've traveled back through time tonight, 66 million years. You've witnessed catastrophe and recovery. You've seen life persist, adapt, transform. You've learned, if you've learned anything, that change is constant, that resilience is real, that rest is sacred, that you're part of something much larger than yourself. And now you can let all of that go, let the story fade, let the images dissolve, let the words become just sounds, just soft vibrations in the darkness, just gentle companions for your journey into sleep. The Earth after the asteroid, it's beautiful in our imagination, peaceful, healed, full of life expressing itself in countless forms. And the Earth right now, the actual Earth you live on, it's beautiful too. Still recovering from various catastrophes, still adapting to change, still creating new forms, still dancing the eternal dance of destruction and creation. You're on that Earth, part of it, made from it, returning to it eventually. And right now, you're at rest on its surface, held by its gravity, breathing its air, warmed by the sun's light stored in its atmosphere, cooled by the vastness of space above, exactly where you're supposed to be, exactly when you're supposed to be there, exactly who you're supposed to be. Perfect. Complete. Whole. Just as you are. In this moment. In this breath. In this soft, quiet, peaceful darkness that asks nothing and gives everything. Rest, dream, sleep, let go, you're safe, you're held, you're home. The story is complete, the journey is finished. And now there's only this moment, this breath, this peace, this perfect, complete, infinite now. And so, dear listener, we've drifted together through millions of years, through darkness and light, through catastrophe and renewal, through the quiet story of Earth healing itself, finding new balance, creating new beauty from destruction. You've been here through all of it, breathing softly, resting deeply, allowing the story to carry you wherever you needed to go. Whether you're awake or asleep right now, doesn't matter. Whether you remember any of this tomorrow doesn't matter. What matters is that you gave yourself this time, this space, this permission to rest. The Earth after the asteroid teaches us that healing is possible, that change is natural, that life persists with patience and resilience and creativity beyond measure. You have that same patience, that same resilience, that same creativity within you. Trust it, trust yourself, trust the process of your own healing and transformation, whatever form that takes. Tonight, you've rested inside ancient truths, the truth of cycles, the truth of connection, the truth that nothing is ever truly lost, only transformed. And perhaps in some small way, this rest has transformed you too, restored you, prepared you for whatever comes next. If this journey brought you peace, you're welcome to return here at any time. The story will always be here, waiting in the darkness, ready to guide you into rest whenever you need it. Until then, may your dreams be gentle. May your sleep be deep. May you wake refreshed and ready for a new day. Good night, dear traveler. Rest well. The stars are watching over you just as they've watched over Earth through all its ages. And in their light, in their patient, eternal witness, you're safe, you're held, you're home.